Hello, Sparkians. Kingsley here from Happier Marriage Secrets, where we are on a mission to make marriages happier again. Let me begin this video by asking you a question. How would you feel if you woke up one day to find yourself trending globally over a rumor that could potentially ruin your career and your life? Well, that's what happened to American comedian and TV show host Steve Harvey, who woke up one morning to find himself trending globally over a rumor that could have potentially ruined his career. And today I want to talk to you about that viral Steve Harvey and his wife Marjorie's divorce and infidelity rumor that shocked the world. I mean, when I heard it, when I watched some video clips on that, I'm thinking, no, can't be. I pray it's not true. And I can imagine you may have had a similar reaction even as you are hearing me talk about that. Maybe you haven't heard about it, but it just goes to show what can happen. And in all indications, in what I have done my due diligence to research, these rumors are completely false, but they went viral anyway on social media and caused a lot of people to believe it by the feedback, the comments that were being shared on different social media platforms. But I can also tell you from what both Steve and his wife have said, they both have basically said, in so many words without having said so, that this is really false. This is just goes to show what happens when you're successful, when you are at the height of your career, what can potentially happen. And they just really address it in a very, I would say neutral way without getting into much details. And, I think this is also true because of their kind of past, right? Both Steve and Marjorie have had a kind of colored past. As you may know, both of them have had different marriages and some things have happened in those relationships that people may easily have no problems believing what they heard because, again, of the past that both of them have had. But again, it goes to show that do we just, because of a person's past, somehow quickly say that this must be so, it must be true? And we're gonna talk about, what I believe 5 lessons that we can learn from this incident, and also, based on what has happened, what we may want to think about in our own on our own marriages. This is a good example of the dangers of listening to and believing everything we read or watch on the internet. Isn't that so? Now, I love what famous football player for the most of the world and for us here in the United States, soccer player Cristiano Ronaldo. In 2017, he was being interviewed on by Piers Morgan on his show, and he discussed the challenges and rewards of being one of the most famous and successful footballers, soccer player in the world, right? And I guess this is also true of Steve Harvey and his wife Marjorie. And this is what he said. He said, when you're at the very beginning, no one knows you. When you're in the middle, people kind of respect you, but they don't really care about you. When you're at the top, people are jealous of you. And when you are at the mega top, everyone wants to bring you down. Now, Ronaldo's quote is a reflection, I believe, of the fact that success often, I would say many times, come with a price. If you watched my last video on Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, you can see that is very true there. I mean, the many comments that have been made, the amount of views that have been it has garnered, it's gone very viral. You haven't seen it, you may want to go and see that. But some of the comments had to do this very thing. Some people said, leave them alone. Some people said, that's their life. But one of my comments, many of my comments have been, well, this is what comes with success and celebrity, because the people who have made you a celebrity, They feel that you have an obligation to them. You owe them something, and therefore they have a right to be saying what they say. Now, I don't believe that. I don't subscribe to that, but that's what tends to happen. So the more successful you become, the more you attract attention, both positive and negative. And some people will admire you and respect your achievements, while others will be jealous of you, of your success, and try to bring you down. Cannot help but mention what you may have heard about, this whole crab-like kind of effect where you put a bunch of crabs into a bucket, and one crab is trying to get out of the bucket. And the more that one crab is trying to climb on top of the others to get out, then others are grabbing this crab to pull it down because they also want to get out. So the whole crab effect is that, the more you try to climb out and climb up out where you're at, there's others who are going to try to pull you down. And it happens all the time. And that's one of the price of success. And I'll share more about that when I talk about the 5 lessons that we can learn from this whole rumor or this viral idea of Steve Harvey and divorce and infidelity. Now, for you, my podcast listeners, you'll need to watch this video to see some of what I'll be talking about. And the podcast is, of course, Happier Marriage Secrets Podcast. As you watch that, as you listen to that, you may want to watch this video. And you also might be wondering why I greeted you in the beginning as a Hello Sparkians. Well, I came up with that name for spouses who are focused on putting the spark back into their marriage, plus having a number of other virtues as well. So I'll tell you more about that in the future as we unpack, about how the whole sparking idea has come together, but also what it means in going forward. So let's get into today's topic on the viral Steve Harvey's divorce rumor that shocked the world and the lessons that we can learn. 5 lessons I want to share with you that we can learn from that. And they're brief, but I want us to take that away from this video. Now, before I do so, let me set the stage for what happened, just in case you haven't heard. But even if you've heard, maybe you haven't heard it this way. Now, the rumor started as about a split, right? A split between Steve and Marjorie Harvey. Then that split conversation morphed into a longer story about how Marjorie cheated on Steve with his personal chef and bodyguard. Then that story turned into a divorce talk where it says that Marjorie is going to take or ask in this divorce idea, going to ask for half of his net worth. So that's how the whole rumor began to take on its whole life, in just a very short period of time. And the worst part about this situation is how easily people believed it. And that's why it went viral, and how excited it seemed like some were at the prospect of something bad happening to a popular celebrity for many reasons. Some who are for Steve and some who are against Marjorie, and some who are for Marjorie and against Steve. Depends on what side they fell, or maybe just want to see a famous couple and wanted to something to talk about, right? And how they were eating up this rumor. I mean, they're eating it up with so much glee at the possible misfortune of someone else. This is the kind of world, unfortunately, that we live in. Unfortunately, that we live in. So with that said, here are the 5 lessons that I believe that we can all learn from this, and how you need and I need to make sure our marriage is strong and intact. We'll need to hold against the attacks and the storms, especially as we aspire, those of us who aspire to become, to make an impact in our world and live a life of significance and impact people around the world, so people may consider that success. We need to make sure that we are holding tight against what may come against us, and then to be able to withstand that. I think I love what Jesus talked about. He talked about how, build your house, I would say your marriage, on a solid foundation, not on shifted sand, because he says the wind is going to blow, the storm is going to rage, and the house that builds on the sand is going to crumble. And the sand could be, anything else but him, God, being at the foundation and a commitment and a covenant we make in our relationship. That's a rock. He said, when that house is built on the rock, the storm is going to blow. The wind is going to come, the storm is going to come, but that house will stand. So you got to make sure your house, your marriage is built on the rock, built on a covenant and a commitment and love and all the different things I've talked about here on this channel, but also on my podcast. Now, the first lesson of the 5 is this: be critical of the information you see online. Not everything you see or read online on the internet is true. And I'm sure people joking and said, if you want to find out what's true, go and search on the internet. Of course, I've been, being sarcastic and tongue-in-cheek. So not everything you see and hear. I've seen things said about me online, or even had people make comment that they made up because of they may not agree with me, my idea, my belief system, my convictions about things, about marriage, for example, that I believe marriage is between a man and a woman. People may be aghast at me even saying that. Maybe you are aghast at me saying that, because God instituted marriage. So when I say stuff like that, people are like, yeah, you're homophobic. You are this, you're this. No, I am for the Bible. I'm for what God has instituted, and truly, I'll always say that. So people are going to say things about me, and you may read things about me on the internet, but not everything you see or is true. Make sure you get the context. Make sure you do your due diligence. Don't be lazy. Don't be lazy. Be careful about what you believe, because your belief shapes your behavior. And especially when that comes from an unreliable source. And you got a vet to make sure the source you're listening to is reliable. Do your own research and verify the information before you share that with others. Don't just click and share something because you read it and it somehow, kind of resonate with you, or it confirms your own bias or your own, what you love to see. No, be responsible. Be responsible. And so be more critical. And, what I'm so sad about today, people don't even have critical thinking anymore. They just become sponges, and they eat everything up and they share everything without thinking about what damage that could do. People just don't care. I mean, I say some people don't care anymore. And they become these with herd mentality, where they just kind of, whatever someone says, yes, master, and they run with it and they share those things. No, be very critical. Fact check, listen, is that true? Is it true? Is it a factual thing? Have you done your research? And I said, don't be lazy, and find a way to fact check some things. And again, also, if it doesn't fit your own convictions and your belief system, don't share those things, because it reflects on you. Lesson number 2, consider the source of the information. Some of what I'm going to say is going to overlap. So, don't say that, when I mention these lessons and the comments I'm making may overlap to make the point and reinforce the points. So lesson number 2 is consider the source of the information. Many people just took what they heard about Steve Harvey and Marjorie Harvey, and they ran with that because they heard from a source that they are they want to become the first to share, right? We're living in a time where people are wanting their 5 minutes of fame. And so they will want to be the first person to share something and get the clicks and the likes and, and the views and all those different things, because we're in a world today that's based upon such shallow kind of relationships, shallow things, and they want the dopamine hit. And the dopamine hit is because they like something or share something and they have not considered the source. Who is sharing the information? Are they a credible source? Do they have a history of sharing inaccurate or accurate information? And if you're not sure of the source, be careful. Be careful. The Bible says this: be swift to hear and slow to speak. In the book of James, I love that verse. I use it so often in my work as a counselor, but also as a coach. Be swift to hear, not just what you're hearing audible, but what you're hearing in your spirit. Be swift to hear things, but be very slow to speak. Don't be reactive. Don't have this knee-jerk reaction that so many people have. So be careful about believing what others are saying, and don't become the first to jump on that again because of the clicks or the the views, the dopamine hit. I get it, but don't get in that whole thing, because again, the crazy things people are doing today just to get this whole idea of, they want to be this social media platform, kind of star or celebrity, and they do crazy things, as you know. Don't become one of those persons. Now, imagine for a second you were Steve Harvey. And as a question at the very beginning, you woke up and find out there was this rumor about you and your spouse, your family, about your getting divorced or, infidelity. How would you feel? What would you do? It's important to remember that rumors can be very hurtful, even if they're not true. That's why it's so important to be careful and become responsible about what we share on the internet and what we believe as well. Lesson number 3, be aware of your own biases. Your own biases. We all have our own biases. I have mine, you have yours. We all have our own biases, which can influence our judgment. It influences how we interpret things, the lens through which we look and filter information, right? We all have our own biases. So be aware of your biases and try to be objective as much as possible when you're evaluating information. One of the things I thank God for is my training as a licensed marriage and family therapist. The clinical approach, my training have helped me tremendously in learning how to listen and how to sift through information when I'm coaching as well with my clients, because I want to make sure I don't let my bias get in the way. It can easily get in the way. I've seen it many times when I share information, as a content producer. I've seen people with knee-jerk reaction and they overlook the context of what I'm saying, or the context in what I'm saying things and the content in general. And they pick and choose what they want to hear because their bias is informing them, and they make a very knee-jerk reaction and will say even mean things about things I've posted. But I'm not here complaining, because that's one of the reasons why I put content like this out. I understand. I'm open to myself for criticism and all the different things that are being said, mean things that are being said about me and even my family members, who people don't even know me. And so I'm not complaining, but I want you to be aware of your own biases, and don't just believe something because it confirms what you already believe. Don't just believe something because of that. Take time to sift through. I love what the Proverbs said in the Bible, and Solomon says this. He said in Proverbs 14, verse 15, the simple believes everything, but the prudent gives thought to his steps. The simple. So it contrasts the simple and the prudent. You would say the wise, right? The word prudent could be said wise, thoughtful person. So the simple believes everything. Don't be a simpleton that believes everything, right? Be the prudent, be the wise that give thoughts to your steps. That's what he is reminding us of. Don't be gullible and believe everything you hear. Be careful about what you believe, and think carefully and critically about the information that you are receiving. So don't be quick to spread rumors like so many people have done on Steve Harvey. So we've covered 3 lessons so far. Lesson number 1 was be critical of the information you see online. Now, lesson number 2, consider the source of the information. And lesson number 3 is be aware of your own biases, right? Now, lesson number 4, before I share that with you, the last lessons 4 and 5, let me ask you to do something very important. I want you to just take a few moments, just 90 seconds or so, to share with you, and oblige me to share these important announcements that I believe will be helpful to you. Let me ask you first to hit that subscribe button. If you have not yet hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do so right now. And it is one of the ways that this channel will have a broader reach, and the YouTube will see that, allow more people to see what is being shared. So please hit that subscription button. I would really appreciate that. Secondly, I do have a podcast. You heard me mention the Happier Marriage Secrets, where you can access a number of topics I've covered so far about marriage, Happier Marriage Secrets. and the different interviews I've done there as well. You can also hear that. So again, happiermarriagesecrets.com. The links will be below in this description that follows this video. Thirdly, if you would like a quick way to assess the health of your marriage, I want you to take the Happier Marriage Assessment Quiz. You can get that at happiermarriagesecrets.com/quiz. Again, all the links will be in the description that follows this video. And if you're new to this channel and you're a little curious about who I am and maybe my accent, I'm from Jamaica, so I have I call it a Jamaican accent, and that's what makes me kind of unique. And I hope you're enjoying this accent right here that you're hearing. And also a brief intro to who I am. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified relationship coach. I've had the privilege of working with hundreds of couples over the last 2 decades, and have have helped countless number of them in their relationship to really have a happier marriage. I've been also married myself for 38 years as of this recording, and have 2 adult children. I'm also a published author and of a few books available on Amazon. And so what you're hearing me talk about, and the passion and I would say the foundation, I would kind of direct or inform my information, is my own personal and professional experiences that you have heard. So what are then the 2 last lessons we can learn from the viral Steve Harvey divorce rumor video that shocked the world? Lesson number 4, be careful about sharing information on social media. Now, I kind of addressed that in lesson number 3, but this is a lesson. Be careful about sharing information on social media. So when I get on here and do my podcast or do this video or share content on social media, I thank God that I have some wonderful, wonderful virtual assistants that also help me, but they also work alongside knowing what I like. So when they share videos on my behalf, or a course on my behalf, from the content that they watch and listen to my podcast or my video, give a shout out to Yen, my video editor, and posting on social media for me on my behalf. And also Jennifer, who does my podcast editing. Shout out to them. Thank you so much for the great job you guys do, and really helping me to keep up to date and get stuff out. So I want a big shout out to you both for helping me in that regards. But when they post on my behalf, they're making certain that they check in with me to make sure that what it is, because that represents me. I remember Steve Harvey had to come on his Instagram and talk about something that went out as if it was from him. He apologized to his audience, and he said that was one of those people who worked for him who posted that video, and he's very, very sorry. I see also other, people who are celebrities who have gone on have to correct something that was said on their behalf because their representative or somebody on their team posted something that they would not have said themselves. And that's why I'm so glad that my team members check in with me to make sure that, they're representing me, and they want to make sure that what gets out there is my voice. It represents everything I say. So, when they're sharing those things, people are going to share that. So I want to make sure that they're sharing the right thing. So you as well, be careful of what you're sharing, right? Especially if you know the person and you say, man, that doesn't sound like, Kingsley or that person. So if you have a check in your spirit, just listen to that and be careful, because here's what happened. That social media, as you know, is a great way to stay connected with family and friends, but it can also become the breeding ground for misinformation. Now, I want to say this now, this whole thing about misinformation and, all those different things. Again, I'm also careful about the people who are saying this is misinformation, because who are they to say it's misinformation? So you do your own due diligence. Don't listen to everything you hear because the government says it, because this person says it, this guru. Just make sure, even when they say the science says, because some scientists, unfortunately today, are I would say they're corrupt. They become very politicized, and all the different things that have happened. It's unfortunate we can't believe what we're hearing anymore from our government or from scientists or from this. It's unfortunate. But I want to say, do your own due diligence. Be careful about what you share, especially if you're not sure. If you see something that seems too good to be true, it's something I've heard so often, many years growing up. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. It probably is. So that's a simple rule of thumb, is if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, and you may not want to share that. So be careful about believing anything that seems too good to be true. Do your own research, as I said before. Lesson number 5. Remember that the internet is not always a reliable source of information. Now you say, Kingsley, haven't you said that before? Not in this, not in this lesson, because I want to emphasize and reemphasize and reiterate, because what has happened to Steve Harvey and his wife, Marjorie, could very well happen to you. Could very well happen to you. Because of the internet, is not always a reliable source of information. And sorry to burst your bubble if you believed it. If you believe that. It's a great place for information, a great resource. I use it constantly. But it's important to remember it's not always reliable. Even when I do my research on the internet, use Google and wherever, ChatGPT and whatever, I want to make sure that I can stand behind what I say. Make sure you do the same thing as well. Be careful about what you believe and always do your own research, because I believe if the people who are out there sharing and resharing this whole Steve Harvey and Marjorie, his wife's situation, had done their due diligence and their research, and also were people who were, of reputable information, reputable character, and people who also want to, the Bible speaks about this. Don't be gleeful and be happy in the downfall of someone else. Love protects. Love covers a multitude of sin. So we should not be the ones who quickly jump and want to share things because it does do harm to others. So I want to let us be on the side of love and want the best for other people as well. So we kind of wrap things up here. This viral Steve Harvey divorce rumor is a good reminder that we should be careful about what we believe and share. Not everything we see online is true. We should always do our own research. Let's all be wise and discerning in the way we use the internet. So again, the 5 lessons really quickly here is lesson number 1. Be critical of the information you see online. Be critical of the information you see online. Lesson number 2, consider the source of the information. Lesson number 3, be aware of your own biases. Lesson number 4, it is be careful about sharing information on social media. And lesson number 5, remember that the internet is not always a reliable source of information. So if you want to learn more about how to make your marriage happier again, I want to encourage you to check out my video on how to build a stronger marriage. I share with you the Happier Marriage Renewal Roadmap. You can also find other helpful resources at kingsleygrant.com. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe and share at least with one other married person. If you have any question or comments, please utilize the comment section below. I would love to hear your thoughts on this video, good, bad, or in between. Please share anyway, and I'll be more than happy to read them and respond as well. So thank you for watching. May God bless you. And as always, may he give may his face shine upon you, and may he give you his peace and his grace for your marriage, your relationship. God bless you. And I see you on the next video that will be shared right here on this channel. God bless you and peace out.